In this video, we're going to take expressions in the manufacturing workspace of Autodesk Fusion to the next level. In this video, we'll look at the conditional expressions, limits and rounding that you can add into expressions, and how you can share these expressions across your entire team to improve consistency and efficiency. If you're not quite sure what user defaults and expressions are yet, check out our other video on the topic and come back here when you're done. Now, one of the most common types of expressions needed are conditional logic expressions, where you want the value that comes out to be dependent on an if statement about something else. Now, a really classic example of this is the different type of milling bit that you're using. The conditions for using a face mill versus a normal end mill are completely different, and therefore the values that this expression gives you're going to want to be completely different. Now, I can use logic and conditional logic inside this expression. So I could say that I want the tool type to be the dependent factor there, and that's one of the parameters we have available. And I want to say that if that tool type is equal to face mill, so that is my condition, if it's equal to face mill. Now the format that we use to set this is we then set a question mark, which tells it that this is a conditional logic expression. And then after there, we have the two expressions of when that is true and when that is false. The two being separated by a colon. So I can now say that the tool diameter multiplied by, for a face mill, probably 0.95, because we can use the full width of the tool. And then a colon to indicate that we're going to, if that isn't true, and then that can be the tool diameter multiplied by our normal 0.4. This way we're saying, if the tool type is a face mill, set the tool diameter multiplied by 0.95 as my optimal load. Otherwise, set it as the tool diameter multiplied by 0.4. Now, there are lots of settings that can be applied like this that can bring in really advanced logic into your expressions. Now, other ways that you could use this are using limits or rounding within your expressions to round up or down values. You can also use model-based values. So for example, if I go in here and I'm doing a drilling operation into some of these holes, I could go through and, I don't know, let's take an example of the heights tab. I can go through and I can use model aware information in these settings. Now these are often, for holes at least, under an option for auto. So if I type in auto, you can see a lot of information about the hole that's being pulled through. Now in this case, I want auto thread depth, and I could say that I want this offset by 0.1, 10% of the depth of the entire hole. Now ultimately there are so many different variables and parameters and ways that you can apply expressions and defaults within your toolpaths. It is a massive thing to go through and adjust, and typically what happens in every team is that there will be one or maybe two people who would go through and set these. But there's also a lot of teams out there where one person would set these, but then other people should really be using those same settings to develop consistency across your cuts. This can also be used to share efficiencies. If one of you finds a better expression or a more efficient way of doing something, that should really be shared across your entire team. Now, at the moment, everything that we've seen has allowed us to set something as a user default, but not necessarily allowed us to share that outside of your account. Now, there is absolutely a way to do this, and this is how I want to end the video, by showing you how. When you go up to the top in the manufacturing workspace, inside the Utilities tab, the Manage dropdown has options to export defaults. What this will do when clicked on is it will ask you to save a defaults file onto your computer. Now that file can then be shared how you want to, so that others in your team can take that default file for all of your toolpaths, and then from their Fusion go into the Manage and Import Defaults. This then allows you to pull in your default settings from your user account into theirs so that you all have a shared user account. When changes are made, you have to go through and re-export them and upload them. So you're going to want a system in place within your team to ensure that changes aren't made and that there is a process to follow. But it allows you to create these expressions and share them across your entire team. As you can see, advanced expressions and shared defaults are an incredibly powerful way to scale your CAM logic beyond individual files and individual users. By coding rules directly into Fusion, you could reduce manual updates, minimize mistakes, and make your manufacturing process much more robust, especially when tools and designs change. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Add a comment of some of the expressions that you're using down below, and subscribe to the channel for more Fusion content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.